All right, clap once if you can hear my voice. Clap twice if you can hear my voice. All right, so I've been floating around. I don't think we're finished yet, right? Okay, great. So I'm gonna get us like on the right path because I see a lot of us aren't really making too much progress too fast. Okay? So this way we can all kind of take it step by step. So first thing I want to do is what? I know we all got this far. What? Thank you. Create, React that. Oh, let me do this probably on my desktop. The CD. I want to have as messy a desktop as possible. So I'm going to say create React app, and we'll call this movies, I guess, right? Oh, maybe I already have a movies. Movies display. All right, I didn't do it in Snake-Case today. I did do it in Snake-Case today. That's an improvement. Okay, so what are some of the main problems we're having with this while we're doing this? Yeah, Johnny. Setting up the props. Okay. What else? What else? Are we having any other difficulty? Yeah. Jen.
Knowing what component is supposed to render another component, and one component is just like a functional.
Okay, so when is a component rendering another component, and when is a component a functional component? Great. What else? What else? Yeah, more? The JSON file part. Okay. I guess I will do that. I wasn't planning on using JSON, but we can. Yeah. Great. We can work on all that. Anything else that we're like hasn't been mentioned? Yeah, Michelle. The clicking part. Okay. Cool. I guess I call it movies display. Okay. Let's open it up. And let's get things rolling. So we'll also just do npm start over here. All right. So as usual, we have a bunch of stuff in our app that we don't really want to have. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that because I'm just not interested. And we'll check here, see if our change is perfect. Exactly what I want. And okay, so now we're going to make a movies component, right? That's the goal. We want to have a movies index, and that's going to be showing individual movies. So I know I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go to source. Let's start a new file, and we can call it movie index.js. And then we just kind of set up all of this boilerplate code, right? You can say it with me if you want. Import React from React class movie index. Because it's going to be a bunch of different movies, so I'm going to call them that. Extends type React dot component constructor, and we're going to do something here. Super. We have a render, right? And our render has a return. And right now, I'll just have to return some kind of fragment. It says movies. We have to export default movie index. All right, and now we've set it up, right? We've set up like the foundation of what we're going to be doing. Not too much is going on there, and then we got to import this into app, which I'm I'm going to remember this time before even trying it, because every export has an import, and we'll just go import / movie index, and let's render that component right here. Movie index. Excellent point. Right. I'm rushing because it's the same thing every time, and it's super annoying. And if you stop thinking about it, you might make mistake. Thank you, Max. All right, we got something that says movies. This is great. This is big for us, right? Okay, so let's actually get to like the meat and potatoes here, which was like, hey, how do we? But you wanted to import JSON, so sure, we can see what that looks like. How can we get all that JSON? Like, how will we get it? Where will we find it? Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna hold it in the state, sure. But like, just to get started on the project, how am I gonna get all of that movie JSON? From the website? Right. Okay, so we go Studio, Ghibli API. And if we go down to films, but there's no way for me to actually see the data, right? So I'm gonna actually have to make some sort of fetch request somewhere, right? So we could do that in a separate file and then copy and paste. Or maybe we make the fetch request in our app, right? That might make things not necessarily easier, but easier to get that data. So let's do that instead. And let's kind of start off. Let's start kind of creating our movies thing. We know we've got a button here, right? It says button. And we have, it's going to say click me for movies, right? Click for movies. Okay. I'm writing it like I'm a middle schooler. And so, what do we want to happen when we click for the movie? What can happen? Yep. Sure. What do we want? What might we want to do after we click? Yeah, I mean, you're thinking really big picture. Let's think about like what's the next step. So I'm doing this, but nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? And it'll change, sure, but what? On click. Does that make sense? If we want something to happen when we click, we need to have an on click. Great. So we'll add an on click. And we'll say this dot handle click. But which we don't have that, so now we got to write that. So we'll say handle click. What do I want to happen when we click? We're talking about it. What's supposed to happen? Trey. It's supposed to display the movies. Do we have movies? No? Not yet, right? So how do we get movies? Yeah.
I guess we can either copy and paste what that we get back from the API or make some better.
Yeah, so we're gonna either have to go make a fetch request somewhere else and copy and paste our result, or we could just make a fetch request right here. So I'm just gonna do it here so I don't have to do it somewhere else and then copy and then do it again, copy and paste. So we can, how do we make a fetch request? Somebody gets a Postman? Yeah, okay, but how do we make one with just JavaScript? Fetch. URL, which was this. So then this returns a promise, right? And then we're going to get some sort of response. And then what do we want to do with our response? We've got to, thank you, Trey. We got to handle the JSON. Exactly, because we are dealing with fetches. So we got to return our response.json. And what does this return? Another promise, exactly. So then we got to do one more .then, and we say .then. So now we've got our res, and let's see what's going on. Let's put a debugger in and see if we have what we're hoping for. So I'm going to save this, open up our tools, click on our thing, we hit our debugger, and now we've got a res of an array of the length 20. So I can go res, and we go, okay, this looks like all of the crap we want, right? Great. Oh, I'm so happy we have all of our stuff. So what can we do? Where can we put this? Where do we like to store information? In the state? Thank you, JR, right? So well, I guess we have to add that to our app. So we go this.state, and we can say movies, and it's currently an empty array. And now, if we want to update our state to what the response is, how can we do that? How do we update the state? Oh yeah, good. I'm hearing it all around like popcorn at the beginning. It goes this.set state. What's this going to take in? Yeah, it takes in an object, and with the key that we want to change in our state, that key is called movies. And the value we now want that key in our state to have is what? Well, look, that's our res. It's just res for this because it's a fetch request. When we're dealing with Axios, it will be res.data. But since we're using a fetch request, it's just res. So that's awesome. So let's see how this might run. I'm going to put a debugger in our render. I'm going to put a debugger in our handle click. I'm going to put a debugger. I'm going to put a debugger literally everywhere, and we're going to play the game of what debugger are we catching next. Okay? All right. Are we ready? All right. What's the first debugger we're going to hit? Team render. Team constructor. Team handle click. Team not sure. It's fair. Okay. I just want to make sure people have hands. Okay. Let's try it out. We're going to refresh. Where are we? Okay, we're in the constructor. Interesting. So when I hit continue, where are we going to be? Oh man, okay. Everyone seemed very into that one. Confidence. Love it. Excellent. What's next? What? It's our code. So we're in the render. We've hit constructor, we've hit render. Where are we gonna be once I hit continue. What'd you say, Janelle? Nowhere? Okay. So Janelle says we're going to be nowhere. We're just going to be on the page because we have to click it first. I think that's a good argument that's been backed up with a good statement. So let's try that. So I'm going to continue. And we're absolutely nowhere. Nowhere Man, Beatles, Rubber Soul. Okay, so I go to click. Where are we going to be? Handle click. Perfect. What's next? Dre? Inside where?
Yeah, what is
You can't put something inside of set state. What's our next debugger? What do we think? Jen? Back in the render. Okay. What else? Any other guesses? Yeah. Inside the promise. Okay. Why?
Because the batch know that it's all inside of one function inside it. So it's going to
Okay, that sounds fair. So JR says it's going to go through the sequence of the function because it's all one. So let's continue and find out. Hit continue, and we are. Now we're in the response. We got the response object. Right, so now we're right here in the code. If I hit continue, where are we going to be next? See a pattern maybe from the last one? Yeah, we're going to be in the next debugger. I'm going to hit continue. Now we're here. Okay, so now where are we going to go? Okay, who said render? Who's team render? Okay, Leo, how come?
It's just because the looking already finished, so to render call for this function.
Yeah, but what's calling render? Why do we actually hit render again?
Because the handle click already done. Handle click is within render.
Okay, so that's not exactly why, but you are on the right path. Abid, you want to go?
We're setting set state.
Bingo, right? Because we're hitting set state, we're going to call set state. Set state is going to merge or update our state, and then it's going to call render. So it's actually, if our function didn't do set state, we wouldn't recall render. Nothing would happen. But it's only because we have this set state. So if I continue, now we're in our render. Okay, now what happens next? What happens when I continue next? Who said that? Is that you? Who said nothing? It's okay if you said nothing. You don't have to blame. Oh, he's stealing the credit. Okay. Yeah, so now if I hit continue, we're back to nothing. We're here again. Does that pattern of events make sense here? Okay. I'm going to take your word for it. Let's remove all of the debuggers now because don't need them at the moment. Whoops. Okay. So now we've set state. So now I'm going to let you guys do the next portion, right? So we're going to give you guys another like 10, 15 minutes. So the next portion, and then we'll meet up again. So an outline for the next portion is underneath this button. Well, and we're going to, oh, actually we'll do it here. Inside of, underneath our render, but before our return, we're going to make a variable called movies. And we're going to loop through the movies that are now in our state and assign the individual, pass the individual properties of those movies to a movie display thing, okay? So now you're on the right path, and we'll check in again soon and do the next step, okay? Break. football style break. Don't leave.
Class, you guys haven't seen it, so you can sign up now. It's like 75 spots left for the Uber thing.
Uber.
So like, do it right.
The Uber thing, this is next Thursday, we have to sign up, and there's only like, spots left. Where's the sign up? Is it the general spot? Is the general,
Right, you know.
like over.
I was actually timing it. Oh, yes, good.
You're good.
Easy. And read that. Second one. It's the same. I don't know, I just
Well, this scoring is.
Right now, it's just. It's the
I'm trying to. Oh, okay.
All right. Clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands twice if you can hear my voice. Okay, so let's talk about this. How did we do? Yay, nay, okay. A little bit of a mixed bag. Cool. What was tricky? What was tricky about these next steps? Yep. You have a function? Oh, setting up a function? Okay. All right, so let's try it out. So we've got our movies in the state, right? So I'm going to make a variable inside of our render that I'm going to render eventually in our return. So I'm going to say let movies equal. How do I get the movies from our state? Yeah, this dot state, one more, dot movies. Okay, so this is going to give us an array, yeah? And so now I can map over that array, say map, and this takes in a callback function. And so every element in here is going to be a movie. So I'm going to say movie. And what I want to return is the information of that movie passed into the next component. So I'm going to say return, and I'm going to do movie display, which I haven't written yet, but that's all right. And then it's going to say title. This is a property that I wanted to have available. And I'm going to say movie dot title. I think we had a description in there. I'm going to say description. I'm going to pass that in as movie dot description. I'm assuming we have a description, right? And then I'm going to close this. I'm just going to pass in the two things, even though I think I told you to do three. And so what's going on? What are we doing here? I think I can actually go like that. Okay. Right, we're taking our movies array from state. We're mapping through it. Every element in there is a movie object. So that has properties attached to it. It's got a title, it's got ID, it's got description, it's got release, year or date or something. Probably got actors. I don't know. It's a movie object. We have to examine the object if we can. And then I'm choosing which one of those things I want to pass into our movie display. So the part that looks like HTML attributes is going to be the key property or the props inside of movie display. So we're going to have a title and a description when we get into our movie display. And this is going to pass those things in. And we're going to just put in this variable we created called movies, and we're going to put that in to our return. Yep.
Can you expand upon what you said about the movie display, the return of the movie display, you're saying we're putting the properties.
Into this component, which we have not written yet.
So right after that component's title, movie display, the properties are defined right after that.
Yep, I'm defining the props keys that are going to be inside of movie display. Yep,
Why is the variable?
because just personal choice. It could be above or below the button. It will just put everything below the button. I don't want the button to fly down on the screen. Yeah. Okay, so explore with this, and your next part is to write movie display. All right, you got another 10 minutes. This is going to be a functional component, no state. All right, so don't add a state. It's taking in props. It's gonna be a valuable key. The rest of
Not only.
Those was I was using the wrong.
You got it?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
No, I don't want to. I don't want you to.
Like, not even with this, it's like.
All right, clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Clap your hands once if you can hear my voice. Yeah. All right. So, how did this part go? Yay, nay, okay. All right, let's do it. Everybody vote this time. Yay, nay, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's make it. So we've got this thing here, and first thing I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna also just put in a debugger here. But I'm gonna do that in a second. First, I'm gonna make our next thing. So I'm gonna make a new file, and I'm gonna call this movie display. All right, so this is going to display the individual movie. And I'm gonna make this a functional component. So I'm gonna say import React from React. And how do I make a functional component?
ES6 style.
ES6 style, I like that. So we'll say const movie display. What's this taken as arguments? Props? Yeah, sounds good. And it's going to return, and for now I'm going to have it just return null. I don't want to return anything. And I'm going to console log. I'm going to put a debugger in right here. We have to export this, right? Different strokes for different folks. When I'm dealing with functional components, I just put export here. That's the way I like to write it. Yep.
Can you have multiple functional components on the page?
Yes.
And yet export each one that way?
That's tends to be the pattern, yeah. So I'm going to do export here, and I'm going to import it over in my movie index. And because I exported it without doing like an export default, I have to import it inside of the curly braces. So I'm going to say movie display from movie display. Get the key. Like that. Because it's a functional. What? Yeah, if I use export default, it would still work. Yeah.
I don't understand how we're exporting.
I'm not importing anything here except for React.
I mean export.
Oh, this word here. Exporting the entire function. Andre?
You need that when you import the display, the syntax removes like a curly brackets around it.
I have to destructure it out, yeah. So inside of our movie index, I just have to destructure movie display that one. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so in the line 2, can we just import the code, just remove the difference in movie display from the same thing.
I have to import it this way if I'm exporting it this way. If I did export default, then I can import it the other way. Yeah, Alejandro.
Maybe you can show the way you export that, and the way you export it. So that you can see.
Export app is like this. Is that what you mean?
So yeah, so you can see at the bottom the export default app. But you use that syntax, you don't need the cruise rates that we're doing. You using query syntax, or like which is I think there. You do it in the default.
Can you say why you think that's better?
Switch.
It lets you know that it's a function or functional component.
So you said different structure folks. What would be like the regular?
Just the regular way we've been doing it, export default. I could definitely have wrote export default movie display. Maybe I should have. But this isn't like a state and class and all that. This is really just a function that's going to be displaying stuff. So I'm exporting it this way. And because I'm exporting it this way, I have to destructure it here when I import. It's just a syntax thing. Okay.
What work we do import the display from JSPAN?
From
It wouldn't work to do like the ES6 import.
if I'm exporting it that way, have to import it this way.
Oh,
If I'm exporting it the way we've been doing it, I have to import it the other way we've been doing it.
and it's both.
Nope, it's not a mixed match deal. It's an all-in-one. Yeah.
Do you know if one of them is just an older way, like the text is different, obviously, but one older than the
I
other?
don't believe it's date associated. It's whether it's a class or a function.
Or it's just like how you were reading that you React.com component of the, or you put React comma, but it's this is on top.
Yep.
It's just different designs.
Yeah, right. Remember, a lot of us have been doing this, where you go component. Thanks, Neeling. That's a great point. You've been doing that, and then you're not using React anymore, right? A lot of us have been doing that. It's the same thing. This is the class, so to speak, of React, and this is the function component. I just write it the other way because that's the way I just personally like it. Opinionated developer. But you can have a different opinion, it's okay. Both work. If it works, right? Okay, so now we've got this movie display that's taking props and it's gonna hit a debugger, and we got this return null. We've imported movie display here, so this should be fine when we do our movie display here, and let's try it out. We're going to go to our React app, refresh, and nothing happens yet. We click, and now when we've clicked, we've hit this debugger, right? Because before it was an empty array, there was nothing for it to loop through. But now we say, okay, we've got what's our props, and we can take a look. We go to our debugger, and we can check what's our props. Well, our props are our title and our description. Where is that coming from? Well, that's coming from where we called upon that child component and said title, description. If I wanted to do another one, let's say I did how about it, right? And I just said passing props, right? Now every single item would have it. So if I went and I return and I click and we hit our debugger, now when I look at props, we've got the how about it, right? So I could say props dot about it, passing props. But that's all it is when we're passing props here, at least for this one, is we're just passing data from one component, from the parent component to its child component, and using the a word equals that data where we've declared that child component. That's all. So we look at that. I say movie display. That's the child component of movie index. We're passing title, description, and how about it? How about it? Yeah. Of course, that's silly, so I'm going to remove that because it's a very serious app. Yeah.
How did you catch yourself in a state when you said call? So when I
I don't know.
I
What?
so sorry. In the return on lines 26 and 27, you were talking about the props going into movie display, and you said we were going to call those props. So you said title and description, and we're calling it in the curly braces, right? The movie title?
We are declaring the key of the props inside of there. The title and the description will be the key values inside of our props, inside of that child. Saying, hey, movie display, we're making a movie display. These are the arguments you can think of, because it's a function, right? These are the arguments that we're going to pass into it. That's all.
It's the top of the JS file.
This one? No problem. Okay, so let's see. So if I were to hit continue, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when I hit continue? Any guesses? When I hit continue out of this debugger, what's going to happen?
Can you show how the debugger is?
Debugger is still inside of our movie display. What's going to happen? I'm going to keep going. Okay, hit continue. Oh, we've hit the debugger again inside of movie display. Huh. And now our title is Grave of Fireflies, description in the latter part of the world, yada, yada, yada. What's going to happen when I hit continue again? Why? Okay. Oh, now we're in my neighbor tutorial, description, two sisters moved to something. What's going to happen when I hit continue?
It's going to keep going so that the loop has,
So why are we hitting this debugger? Tell me, John.
because I think the return null is not returning anything, so it keep going. So eventually break. Like once I finish the loop, it's just going to be nothing out.
Okay, so we're 95% correct. So why do we keep hitting this debugger? Because, not because we're returning null, that actually has nothing to do with it, because that's its individual calls, but we're actually hitting the debugger because we have a debugger right when we call movie display, and inside of our movie index, as we are looping through all of our movies in the state, we continue to call movie display and keep passing in new title and new description. And so because we keep calling movie display, we keep hitting debugger. So if we are aware of how that's working there, well then we can just actually, instead of returning null, why don't we return information that's a bit more helpful, right? That's actually visual. So we can say, all right, let's return, and we make our little li. And I say, all right, well, we'll make a title. And I'm going to say, in JSX, this.props. Oh, I don't need this, right? Because I just have props. Props.title. And here I will say description. And I'll say props.description. And just to keep things a little bit separate right now, I'm going to add this. Real life, I would do something slightly different. And so now when we hit continue or refresh, and we click it, instead of us hitting that debugger, because we're no longer going to do that, we're actually going to return that li. And so now we're going to get a list of LIs. It says, hey, title, Castle in the Sky. And now we can actually read the whole description, but I'm definitely not going to. It's a lot of words. And we've got all of our movies displayed. Yeah, exciting. Hopefully a little bit exciting. Let's do some minimal refactoring. I know I'm passing in title and description. Don't want to write props 3 times. So instead, I'm just going to change that to title and description, and change my props here to just being that. It's a little bit cleaner, using object destructuring on the argument as it's coming in. And now we'll see everything is still identical in functionality, but it's just so much prettier. Cool? Yeah? Okay. All right, so now, until lunch, we're going to work on our projects that we've been working on for the last couple days and trying to, now hopefully we have a slightly better handle on props, and we can continue that, and we'll go over props some more this afternoon. All right? Let's do it. All right. Thank you.